Hi, welcome. On this video, again, continuing on the theme of breaking down the learning-based narrative, I'd like to discuss the issue of motives, control, and the picture as it relates to certain concepts, applying certain concepts such as conditioning, okay, to solidify a picture. However, what I'm going to be talking here is why it is that although you can do certain things within this learning-based narrative to try to hold the picture together, what it is, it's relational glue that truly holds everything together properly. And so again, it's not just going through the motions of something. Again, dogs are not robots. Okay, so this learning-based narrative, it's again this issue about conditioning. Conditioning is about repetition, continuing to apply this learning-based narrative over and over and over again, so that it will take hold, so that you can instill some sort of reliability, okay, in a dog. And this can be applied in terms of service dog training, especially. Other aspects of training could be law enforcement training. However, again, the problem here can be when you don't consider that everything still filters through relationally. It's still about the relationship. It's how the person connects at that level that truly is what influences the picture to maintain its integrity. So again, as you do it, so this is where, again, if you're doing something, again, within the training environment, certain environments, it'd be same comparison you can make in the human world when dealing with, say, a very selfish, self-centered child, okay? And I'm just working off this type of principle of incentivizing, getting the child to do certain things in a certain environment. And that's fine and dandy. They're more than happy to do that. They're getting something out of the deal. But I haven't created any sort of parental influence, okay? I haven't really invested in the relationship properly. So it's more just about, it stays at that level of just them getting something in return. Even though I'm going through the numbers, just like conditioning. I'm doing things over and over again to get something here. It's just like a very robotic type of thing. But this can be applied outside. You take this example, applied outside the parameters of how this is applied with dogs. Dogs are, again, are social relational animals. So you go outside the training environment and into a different setting, okay, different environment with different distractions, and suddenly, say in the service with a service dog, you're in a mall setting or somewhere, and like the wheels start coming off the train. You're like, goodness, the dog's trying to go towards that other dog, and I mean, I practiced this in the other environment, and it was going so well, but then this is going on. Well, because it'd be the same thing with a very kind of a a one-dimensional view of approaching the trying to solidify the picture, okay, outside the parameters of how it lines up through how you're fulfilling your proper role in nature, okay, relationally, again, through the process. I'll talk about that in a second. But it'd be the same as the child, again, going into, say, a mall, and you're like, man, this is, going so well, and suddenly there's something enticing, like maybe an ice cream store, and suddenly the child is like, suddenly you're looking around, and where'd my kid go? They're in the ice cream store. Because something more enticing has come out, and there's no respect, so they just aren't going to listen. They're just going to do their own thing. There's no boundaries, nothing. But again, it can be very deceiving, because in the parameters of a certain environment, you feel like you have more influence than you really have. I mean, that's the problem, is that these training environments, or how this gets scripted, it can appear to be one way, and like you have a certain level of influence in the relationship, and you really don't. The motives aren't being tested. Again, I talk about that a lot, about the picture has to be put to the test, but not just put to the test, you have to understand how the process aligns at the very beginning to begin with, to make sure this all lines up properly. So here it's really understanding sequencing, as I call it, being very intentional about how you set up that picture. So at the beginning process, again, identifying the process first as a relational changing one. Okay, so again, it's not about just incentivizing the dog and starting working off these concepts such as conditioning that way to solidify the picture. It's about approaching it differently at a interaction based, okay, rather than a position response based picture. And then as the picture begins to take hold, so at that point, the person is coming into right relationship. They're connecting properly. The perceptions of the dog are changing through that picture. And then when you hit a certain point, okay, through the sequencing, okay, once you hit to a point where, okay, the picture is, is solid the way it needs to be relationally, then you can start to key up a little bit on marking certain things, being specific about what you want the dog to do. But again, it's about understanding the sequence, understanding the process. So when you engage, just understand when you engage in certain things, such as these concepts, such as conditioning, just understand that you're playing off of how everything filters through relationally. It's not just some abstract thing where you're just going through the motions, you're doing something over and over and over again, you're trying to incentivize the dog. You're dealing with the motives of the dog. Okay, these control issues will play out if you're not in right relationship. And even understand, when I'm using terms right relationship, what that even means relationally. It's about understanding the dog coming into agreement, okay, through the process, how the process comes together, the integrity of that process comes together initially to gain meaningful influence, okay, over the decision-making process of the dog. Okay, that's key. That's the primary thing. And then from there, then you can start to advance the picture, okay, to get the dog to do specific things. And that way, when you leave, go into certain areas, it's solid, okay? The dog isn't going to go after the other dog. Doesn't matter what is going on, the picture is going to be solid, and you're not going to have issues. So anyway, just something to keep in mind when you're applying certain concepts. Understand it's a relational process. Everything filters through that way. The concepts themselves, it's not just going through the motions of something, just trying to firm up a picture through incentivizing the dog, a reward-based type of narrative. Because again, when you're doing that, again, the same example, it's about the relationship. The dogs are pivot that way, okay, via nature. It's how it aligns. It's a great connection. It's amazing, even the depth of it. But understand, you have to follow the right order of things. There's a sequence that I follow, even when I'm doing service dog training, to line it up properly, make sure it's solid. So anyway, I encourage you to, again, have any questions, check out you can check out my website. I have lots of videos that show the process. It shows me working with dogs through the process. I make sure it's very transparent with how I show the process. So you'll see right from day 1, day 2, day 3, you'll see change happening as the script holds true to form. The integrity of the method takes hold. You'll see meaningful influence taking hold right up through the whole sequence itself. So you're able to actually see how the methodology works. It's very specific, creates change a certain way, and make sure that the picture is solid. So anyway, thanks for watching.